What's going on, guys? Most supcharls. I'm going to talk about my thoughts on God of War. Even though I have yet to finish it, I feel like I can talk about it given that I'm almost done with the story and the week is almost over, so I felt like I should just do this commentary video now and not miss out on another week, because last week I actually missed out on the commentary mainly because I did plan to do a live commentary with the introduction of this game. The thing is though, it didn't go too well and it was mainly in the live commentary department, so I ended up cancelling it and saving the footage that I've recorded. And then I've also quickly used the PS4 share here and there to save some footage from fighting and such, so I have a little bit more gameplay in this video compared to cutscenes or story related footage, I guess I could say in some ways. So without further ado, let me just jump right straight into it all and say that it first of all is a really amazing game. I would definitely say it is one of the must own games currently on the PS4. I really love the gameplay in this. The fighting, I didn't really expect it to be this good, and also the gameplay itself. In general, when you explore and such, it's not getting boring. I really just enjoy every minute of it I play, or every second, and I sometimes even have a hard time actually quitting the game because it is so enjoyable, and the story itself really feels interesting, and also probably is a part of it where I don't really have such an easy time just quitting it and moving on to some multiplayer games again, because it is a really interesting story. I really love it so far, even though I've yet to see the ending from my own playthrough at least. I really love it. It's a amazing journey that will have ups and downs, I guess, with your son or your boy Atreus in the game when going through this story. And yeah, it's just really overall a nice, good, interesting story, and I wish it was actually a bit longer, even though I haven't finished it yet. I know that it's almost over. I sorta know what will happen at the end, given YouTube and the recommended tab or page or whatever you can call it, that basically kind of spoils it with some YouTubers uploading the videos and such. And yeah, it's a shame sometimes to see, but nevertheless, I wish it was longer, the story, and I definitely look forward to the next game already, whenever that will come out, probably around the PS5 when that is a thing. But anyways, I'm getting off track here. So the gameplay is nice, the story is nice, I love the fighting sequences and the exploring part as well, the side quest and such. There's a lot of things to do. The brutal executions are also something I really enjoy, even though I'm not really much for those really violent ones, but at the same time it's nice that they are still there, some of them where they are really brutal and such. And also the boss fights, I like them all mostly, even though they can be really tough to get through, some of them, especially when you actually do some side stuff and you will face some bosses called Valkyries. I at least have had a lot of difficult times so far, even though I haven't finished the game yet with the story. I've tried to take them down and I have yet to beat one of them, and there is a trophy where you actually gotta defeat 9 of them, so it's gonna be a tough journey to try and defeat those. But also in the main story, there are also some bosses that I've had a little bit of trouble dealing with here and there. It can be sometimes really frustrating, but at the same time it also feels really rewarding when you actually can get through it. And I only played on normal difficulty, so I wonder how hard it would be to actually go through it all in the give me God of War story difficulty, or whatever you call it. The hardest one basically, because normal for me is just too tough right now sometimes. And also the puzzle solving in this game is actually somewhat easy here and there, but also sometimes there are those really tough ones for me to solve. And I don't know if it's just because I'm just not used to playing these types of games where you have these little bit more difficult boss fights and such. And I don't really play these types of games normally because I mainly stick to first-person shooters. Having these types of games where puzzles and melee combat and such is more a thing. I might not have the experience to solve these puzzles relatively easy, or dealing with certain bosses and such relatively easy either. But despite it, I really love it. It's an awesome game, and I really love the change from the whole loading not being a thing to this one whole playthrough thing. I don't really remember what exactly they called it, but basically you have no loadings and such, which is awesome. And having the camera more up close to Kratos is also really nice. I really like this more than the previous God of War games, but maybe that's just me. But I just prefer games like this more because that's what I'm used to. And also having the Leviathan axe, it's also a really nice addition to the game, or the series as a whole. I really love the fact that you can actually throw it and recall it again, sort of like Thor's hammer. Really nice little neat feature there. And if you can even master to nail some badass combos with the Leviathan axe, and maybe use Kratos' bare hands and shield, use Atreus' bow and the bare hands and such, it will definitely feel nice when you can make it just go smoothly with the flow and such. That makes you look like a one-man army. and the gameplay feels really smooth, which is awesome. I do play on a PS4 Pro, however, so I don't really know if the base PS4 is the same thing. I have played it on the PS4 Pro with favor performance, which is basically uncapping the frame rate from 30 to around 40, 50 I think it was at most. It never really managed to hit 60 I believe, but basically when you have that favor performance mode, it really makes a difference to me, at least when I played it, and makes it just much smoother. Obviously you have more frames per second, but also just in general when I used the favor resolution one as the setting, it didn't really feel that smooth with the fighting and the controls in general. It felt quite stiff to me, if I could use that word to describe it. I don't know if it's just me though, but it just didn't really feel that good to me compared to the favor performance one. And also the favor resolution one didn't really look as good to me either, but it could be because I don't really have HDR as well with my 4K monitor, so I don't know. But basically I prefer the performance one over the resolution one any day. But anyways, moving on to the next thing is also the sound and the music that they have in this game. It also really fits well. I really love that they actually play the orchestra music in the background when you actually do brutal executions as well. That really just makes it all intense and such. It's not because I pay attention to it all the time, but sometimes when I do or just notice it, it just makes it so much more intense and such, and I really love that. The sound as well in general is really great. For example with the word serpent, I don't know why, but I really just like the sound when he speaks. I don't even know what the heck he says because he obviously don't say anything in English. It's all gibberish I guess, but basically I really love when he speaks. It really just sounds, I don't know if I could say realistic, but it just feels good I guess. I don't really know what word I could use to describe the feel, but when I at least play it with my speakers or with a headset and I hear him speak, it's not because he speaks all the time however, but when you hear it, the sound quality really feels good I guess I could say. I really like it. I wish there were more moments where you could actually hear him speak, but maybe it's just me who likes the word serpent. I even used share on the PS4 just to use the footage of him speaking for this video because I really liked it that much, which I'll probably include after this commentary is done. But anyways, the next thing is also having a partner like Atreus in the game really makes a difference as well. I really love this partner system because Uncharted 4, The Last of Us, and even The Lost Legacy, and I don't really know what other games had a partner system. There's probably plenty of them, but specifically Naughty Dog is really using this partner system a lot with their current titles, and I really love this partner system being introduced into God of War because Atreus has been really helpful throughout the journey so far that I've had in battle and such. Obviously at the start he wasn't really that useful, and you also had to unlock a lot of the skills and such before he would become useful, but with time, the more you unlock, he is really slowly becoming someone that is actually nice to have in battles as well. And the reason why I really love having him, not only because he helps out with quickly choking an enemy, or you can command him to shoot arrows at certain enemies, or what the heck do I know, but the fact that I can use him also as bait sometimes, because I actually do that, is also really big thing for me. Because in boss fights, for example, at the start when I faced the first troll, I actually used him as bait quite a lot. It was mainly at the end because I was afraid that I would lose all my health and I was gonna die, so I was keeping my distance from the troll for a little period of time, just throwing my axe for the most of the time, trying to deal damage that way, and using Atreus arrows to command him to shoot at the troll, just to use him as bait so that he would target Atreus instead of me, which was basically my strategy to go through that boss fight. But also in general, moving on with the story, I also have used him here and there, and there is one point where you actually gotta go without him because something happens. I don't really want to say why because I would spoil it, but basically there is a moment in the story where you gotta do something all by yourself, and I could definitely tell with the boss fight coming up, it was actually quite hard for me not to have Atreus around because I was so used to having him around as my little bait here and there, walking around, letting the enemies go after him instead, and I actually had to spend a few attempts just trying to get through that specific boss fight, but I did manage to get through it nevertheless eventually. And yeah, now I don't really use him as much because I'm afraid something might come up where I'm all alone again and I gotta get used to it. But just in general, I love this partner system just because of that, and also because if they can help, obviously I would love to have that, because I don't really like being all alone by myself in the battlefield and such, where a lot of enemies target me and such. So yeah, a great addition to the game in that regard. I also really like the new camera angles where you have a more close-up look with controlling Kratos, and it's a nice change from the previous games in my book, because I didn't really like that in the previous games as one of the things. So yeah, a really nice change in my opinion at least, and also from the Greek mythology to the Norse one, and having no loading screens and such. I mean, all of these things just makes this game really good, and I really just love this game in a lot of ways. And Spartan Rage is also a thing that I really love in this game, and just in general how many realms, I think that was what it was called, how many realms you have to explore and such, that is also really awesome. So overall the game is just an amazing game, definitely worth a buy if you have a PS4, that is, and if you also have the money, of course. But in general, really awesome game. I really love it. Definitely deserved all the positive reviews and such. I can't wait to see what the future will bring for God of War moving forward with this Norse mythology instead of the Greek one. But last but not least, I also want to quickly mention some quick words about the comic, because if you buy the digital edition of the game on PS Store, or if you buy the collector's edition, I think, or the limited edition, I'm not really sure what the standard edition, or if it was a pre-order bonus or something like that, but basically if you did, you would also get a free comic from it, from what I remember. Since I bought it digitally though, I'm just gonna stick with saying digitally because I'm not really sure what the physical editions of the game, but basically you get a comic, and it was actually really good, that little short tease of a comic, I guess you could say, because it was only 10 pages long, but it was getting really interesting when I read it, and I wish it was actually longer, but I guess it's just a promo for the upcoming comics of God of War whenever that comes out. I haven't really looked into it, but I really consider getting them just to support it as well, and also know the story, given that the comic actually takes place before the main game. Wish they would actually release these before the game came out, that would make more sense. But overall it also have a nice little comic story going, and the art design itself for the world and such, beautiful. And yeah, that was pretty much all I really wanted to mention. Hopefully I might have forgotten some things, but hopefully I remembered most of the things, and if I did forget some quick things to mention, then I'll probably leave it in the video description or something like that, as I would usually do. But thank you so much if you did stick around for this long. I don't really know how the gameplay will roll with this video, since I haven't edited this video yet, so if it does, hope you will stick around for it. If not, then hopefully I will see you guys on the next one. I will however leave the quick cutscene where you speak to the world serpent as the last thing for this video, so that will probably indicate when it will be ending. So after editing this commentary, I actually realized I forgot to mention one really important thing, which is actually that the game makes the PS4 console's fan noise when you play this game really loud, and it really can sometimes be ruining the experience, because it is sometimes a little bit hard to tell what is being said in a cutscene with the story, or what the heck do I know. I thought this was pretty important to tell instead of adding that to the video description, and that is by far the biggest complaint I have with this game, as the only thing. Not because it's a huge thing if you have headsets on or something like that, but since I play with speakers for the most part, it is noticeable sometimes that it makes a difference there. So yeah, that was the most negative thing I could find with the game so far, I guess, in some ways. But at the end of the day, it is also a really beautiful and big, stunning game, so I would assume they really tried to squeeze all the power they could from the base PS4 and the PS4 Pro consoles. But yeah, that was all I really wanted to mention, so hopefully I will see you guys on the next one.
I will end you! Can't beat me! Come on! I'd hope that you, of everyone I'd faced, would finally make me feel something, but you can't.
How are we getting down there?
I have a plan.
You do?
Do not act so surprised.
Well, no offense, brother, but I don't even think Thor with Mjolnir in hand could get through that much ice.
Then Thor is a fool.
This should be entertaining.
Boy,
Ready. Ready anyway. Eat dirt! I wish I was strong enough to do that. I got this one.
adequate.
Why is he doing that?
Odin had that statue made in honor of Thor. And seeing as the world's serpent absolutely abhors the fat dauber, he was probably sick of looking at it.
But doesn't that hurt?
Well, he and Thor have a bit of an unpleasant history between them. Or they will, anyway. So I guess waking up to see it was worse than the thought of lumps of solid stone passing through his gullet. You want me to ask him?
No. Our only concern is Jotunheim.
All right, wish me luck. Ooh, ha, ha, ha. You envy me. I've still got it, lads. He remembers me. Why, you... Oh, no, that's not right. Makuna huntun kun. Ahon ekono tunnovunora. He knows the pain of your loss. He will help you. Efniun Fobuara. Curious.
What is it?
Oh, nothing to be concerned about.
What is he doing?
Making sure we're headed in the right direction. Listen closely now. We need two things to get us into the land of the giants. First, we need to learn the travel rune that opens realm travel to Jotunheim. Second, we need to carve that rune into the special gateway.
Is that one on the peak where we first met you?
Correct. Except the giants, in their infinite wisdom, saw to it that no ordinary chisel would do the job. Only the tip of a magical chisel opens that gate. Luckily, I know where it is, and it's not far.
He looked kind of mad for a moment.
Now that, you thought I said you were friends of Odin. You'll forgive me. Never spoken the ancient tongue sober.
Wait, look! The water's dropped even further. You can see more of the realm towers and statues. I even see new places to explore along the shore.
Where is this chisel?
Find me a boat, and we'll go from there.